And great job mocking an ethnic last name like the piece of shit bigot that you are. So I didn't know that asparagus is a ethnic slur towards Armenian people.
Hey, what's up, ARC family? This is Nicholas Tirado once again. This photo right here was taken this morning of the young men going and fight the fires in Los Angeles. We have set up a fundraising campaign for the incarcerated firefighters at Pine Grove. Please check out the link on our profile if you want to donate. Every dollar you donate will go to them after they get out of custody. They are out there right now fighting fires, risking their lives. So please, y'all, let's show them the support that they deserve. Hey, what's up, ARC?
Oh yeah. And so Caroline and Hasan went to
fire.
interview them.
There's really none. So that's like the thing.
So California State doesn't have any sort of like reintegration program.
California has MCRP program, and thank God for Scott Button, he's trying to integrate his ARC program. So MCRP is the reintegration program from being incarcerated to being on the outside. It's limited, but it's...
Aw, the Everything app. Why you do this to me?
There's really none.
kind of just keeping you on a leash, sadly to say, but that's what it is. They do offer some programs, but they're very limited because they're usually private-owned companies.
And they most likely have you do it yourself. Like when you finish parole, they have you do your own parole.
It feels like out of 10, only 3 go.
I feel
so what
like,
about the rest?
I feel like if you had a job coming out, if you had something lined up, kind of like this program, if it was CAL FIRE or if it was anything else, you're not gonna fuck around. You're not gonna want to lose that job. You're not gonna want to fuck over. You're not gonna fuck around with your parole.
You have something to lose. It's a tie down.
Yeah, that's what is so frustrating about stuff like this. Is that, I mean, it's just so dispensable, like expendable. They just discard you. They're like, all right, fuck off. You know, all right, you did your time. Fuck off.
Just another number, yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
So you said you kind of do political work, like rehabilitation, right? Since you've been kind of shining the light on some of those spaces, have you seen any like progress being made or any like development within that field?
I mean, yes and no. I feel like people are very resistant. They're very resilient. They don't want to see the humanity of other people.
That part is true. I wish I had other clips. I think they posted more clips, right? Yeah.
Give right now that they're on the fire line. Yeah. There's not so much to give right now, right? They're fairly good right now. It's when they get back to camp, right? There's not a TV that's working in some places, right? There's the boots are all fucked up and they need better boots. Like there's just things that are not so sexy, but that they need. You never think this, but we're getting a shower truck dropped off.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. By the way, God bless the dudes at Coachella.
Dude,
they got a shower truck coming in. These guys haven't showered in like 4 days.
I know.
So just stuff like that. And then I think also when they get out, if they want to work for CAL FIRE, as soon as they get out, how are they going to pay rent to wherever they're getting hired? How are they going to pay utilities? What about a car to get to and from work? Right? Those who are give right now that they're on.
Those are all really important things you don't think about too, right? Like it's you've paid your dues to society, you get out of the prison system, and you've been working within the prison system sometimes for $5 an entire day, for an entire day's worth of labor, hard, grueling, very dangerous labor, fighting firefighters, not showering for 4 days until they can get a remote shower system set up, and then at which point it's like, you'll need a lot of resources, and these resources should be provided because isn't this the idea? You want people to get back on their feet, hard workers. You want them to be able to provide for their families. You want them to have an honest day's pay for an honest day's work and get out there and be contributors to society. Incarcerated youth firefighters of Pine Grove are currently risking their lives on the fires in LA, working 48-hour shifts with no sleep. These are their faces. And like, I know fucking the worst corners of the internet have probably begun looking up every person that Hasan talked to rather than like take any of this in and do anything productive with it and be like, well, we actually looked up what they're in jail for. Did you know this one guy actually like robbed an old lady, or this other guy actually like broke into a car, or stuff like that. The point is, if you're not willing to humanize them for reasons, then please, you must want a system where people commit less crime. Aren't we all on board on that idea? People committing less crimes. So if these are people who have been working as firefighters for no pay or little to no pay, and working really hard shifts, working sometimes for, you know, days on end with no showers, and then are getting out of the prison system, at that point, shouldn't you want to support them? Shouldn't you want to help them get back on their feet and do something productive so that they don't continue to be impoverished or put into a situation where they might continue to commit crimes either out of desperation or... I mean, even Fox News was willing to talk about this.
You've been watching our coverage. You've seen some of the firefighters that are out on the front lines are actually inmate crews, incarcerated firefighters. Hasan Piker is one of the top streamers on Twitch. He's actually streaming live on Twitch right now. Hello to his streaming audience. He is also a progressive pundit, and he's spent time, went out, and met some of these incarcerated firefighters, streamed live with them, and learned a lot from talking to them. Hasan, good to see you. Welcome.
It's good to be back, Alex. Thank you for having me.
Talk to us about what you learned meeting these firefighters.
Yeah, so approximately at any given moment when there's wildfires happening in wildfire season in California, there's around 30% of the people fighting those wildfires are incarcerated firefighters. The California State and CAL FIRE have a collaborative program with the Forest Service where they basically train some of the incarcerated at what they call camps, conservation camps, where they learn how to clear brush and reach areas that bulldozers can't get to by foot. It's a lot of trekking. They're going and putting their lives on the line basically to ensure that Californians are safe during wildfire season. I met a now friend, Scott Budnick, who is a Hollywood producer. He produced Hangover, Project X, and Old School, and many other projects. He actually started this thing called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. And I found out that he was actually working with the governor and also simultaneously expanding these programs. And I got to meet some of the youth offenders. This is a camp pilot program that they just started in 2023. Where they, for the first time ever, are bringing in youth offenders, young offenders that have been incarcerated under the age of 25 or committed crimes under the age of 25 that are now part of this training program as well. And I mean, it was an incredible experience overall. And one of the things that I was kind of shocked by is the fact that these guys just kept asking, like, why do you care about us? Why are you here? Like they were shocked at this level of attention. Because they don't have access to the news as readily available, so they're not exactly aware that like there are a lot of people in the civilian population that's talking about these guys right now. And one of the things that struck me was the fact that they understand that these are very dangerous conditions that they're putting themselves into, but they really are appreciative of the fact that they get a semblance of dignity and a way to help with these communities that they're a part of. So it was truly a tremendous experience overall.
Yeah,
and very eye-opening.
And we talk about people going behind bars. Most people that go behind bars are eventually released, and so you want there to be a rehabilitation process so that they come out potentially even stronger than when they came in. And I know for you, you were really struck by the sense of hope that these guys felt.
Yeah. So. It's not a secret that the county jail structure and the prison structure in the state is pretty bad overall. Like the conditions are pretty bad overall. There's a lot of violence. There are major problems. And from what I understand, aside from the fact that being able...
How does the Fox News possess empathy? Just to be clear, this is for their local station in LA, right? This is Fox 11. They're not going to be the same as the national Fox News network. I'm not going to go out and say that they probably haven't done segments that I would also find appalling. I'm sure they have them, but in this case, it's not just one and one the same. This is a local affiliate.
Being able to volunteer for these programs allow these inmates to shave off some of their very long sentences. It also gives them an opportunity to train and potentially an opportunity for gainful employment after they're out, after they are released. And there have been a lot.
But if it was like even a remotely center-right network, even better. Like I say that for the fact that people are seeing this message, and this is important. It's important to throw down the mystique that every single person who's been incarcerated is there because they're some weird, violent Joker-esque villain who just wants to see the world burn and is completely happy with, you know, robbing old people and punching people in the face and smashing into houses, and every single criminal chooses a life of crime, and that's what separates society is the people who are willing to actually put in time and work hard, and those who are willing to just destroy it all because they're evil. That's not the reality that we live in. And the idea too being that if you have a prison system and you have people who are incarcerated, especially people who are incarcerated who are junior incarcerated members under the age of 25, who you know, are in there for a variety of reasons and want to now turn their lives around and are volunteering for a very dangerous program in which, you know, they're paid what, $5 a day for the entirety of the day while they're at the training camp, and then when they're working in the fires themselves, $20 to $25 a day for the entire day, sometimes working multiple days, you know, with very little sleep or very little breaks, working without showers, stuff like that, in very, very dangerous and difficult conditions. These are people willing to sacrifice in order to help others. So the narrative is lost there. The narrative that these are all just fundamentally evil people without humanity, this humanizes them. And this, at its core, should be something that I think everyone, regardless of what your views are on either crime, the criminal justice system, policing, whatever that is, you should want to have less people in jail, period. I mean, at its core, that's what abolitionists actually believe. Not that we should allow rapists to run the street. It's that they already get away with a lot of their crimes, and the system working as is seems to be overly incarcerating people who have been racialized in society, people who are disproportionately poor, and a lot of this should be addressed in other ways rather than simply continuing to increase police budgets year after year after year after year. And yes, when it comes to people who are incarcerated and who are doing these volunteer programs, once they've served their time, there should be safety nets put in place so that they can then, you know, afford to pay rent once they get out, have a place to live once they get out, be able to apply for jobs such as becoming a firefighter, which I know Gavin Newsom made changes to that after huge public backlash after the 2020 fires, after there was a lot of media attention on the police, on the prison firefighter program. They decided that, okay, we're going to change the laws, but still, I think something like 12% or less of people who are inmates who apply to the program actually end up making it in. So while it's not simply you can't apply at all, there's a very, very low percentage of them who actually make it into it, which also speaks to, you know, the fact that the program can be very competitive. Yes, I can already hear the fucking the economic globe liberals being like, well, that's because becoming a firefighter is very difficult. But there should be, even if they're not going to become firefighters, programs in place, period, to help them out. I don't think that anyone would find that controversial.
Lot of initiatives to make sure that this is as ethical of a process as possible, especially in recent years. In the past, a lot of these firefighters, a lot of the incarcerated firefighters could only get seasonal employment, and they could never get municipal employment in the Los Angeles Fire Department because if you have a felony, you're not able to get an EMT certification. And if you can't get an EMT certification, you can't become a municipal firefighter. But nowadays, they're working on expunging some of the records as well for demonstrating good behavior and service for the community. And I think it's wonderful because one of the things that I heard from virtually every single person there was the anxieties that they had as far as what they will do once they are released. What they like, how will they find an opportunity to reintegrate into society? This is something that obviously I read extensively on. There's a lot of data available on this, but it was truly interesting just seeing it in person, where these guys were also talking about the anxieties that they have about like wanting to become productive members of society. And this program, I think, is fantastic. And there are still some issues, of course, specifically around their wages. I think since the 80s, they had not seen any meaningful wage increases.
Right.
I believe they were getting around $5 a day. And they're doing basically the same thing that everyone else in CAL FIRE is doing as well. One of the hardest jobs on the line, basically. And now that wage has been increased to $24 a day, and I feel like it's a wonderful opportunity for reintegration. It's a wonderful opportunity for rehabilitation, and the conditions of the camps are significantly better overall than the conditions of the prisons. But having said that, I think that there's still room to grow.
Yeah.
This program could grow as well, and hopefully their wages can be fair in terms of adequate compensation.
Sure.
Because utilizing incarcerated firefighters as a way to displace the existing non-incarcerated firefighters is also, lowering the wages of non-incarcerated firefighters.
Hasan, thank you so much for bringing this issue to our attention. We really appreciate it. And
honestly, yeah, incredible work by both him and Caroline. This stuff doesn't just make me proud to be a leftist. It just makes me proud to be a human. When you see segments like this, it's honestly, this is the pathway forward. This doesn't have to be a left or right issue. You can get past all the nonsense culture war bullshit that right wingers continuously trying to pour on you. They are obsessed with identity politics. They're obsessed with talking about identity politics. They're obsessed with trying to reduce everything to but what about the tampons in the bathrooms? What about the people doing sign language on TV? What about this? What about that? CRT, DEI, bridge, sweet baby ink, blah. And at the end of the day, when there's a major tragedy, you'll see lineups of people donating blood the next day. They're not asking who the blood is going to. They're not asking what is your political affiliation before you donate blood. They're not asking that kind of stuff. In the same case with this, people will see these kind of things and realize, wow, so those are people who are literally saving lives right now. Inmates are willing to go at the front lines in very dangerous work to be able to try and, reduce the damage that these fires are doing and the areas that they're spreading to, and they're being paid nothing. And they're hoping to do it for a chance at a better quality of life for them while they're incarcerated. Yes, but who the fuck wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want better meals, better living conditions, better sleeping conditions, and potentially more regular showers, once they can import that system that's supposed to be coming in after 4 days without it? Who wouldn't want the ability that once you get out, not only have you said that you've actually had some professional work working as a prison inmate work program in order to be able to help during a devastating wildfire in LA. But ideally, there should be more, again, safety nets put in afterwards. All you ever see in the media is just the constant vilification of these people. Just consistently being like, tonight at 11, crime is out of control. People breaking into supermarkets, stealing formula, stealing products. What are they doing to destroy your lives? That's all you ever see. You don't see, hey, here's the people they're talking about. Here's a bunch of junior inmates, and look what they're doing. They're actually being paid barely anything, $5 a day, even $20 a day, or $25 a day to be working on the front lines in a fire is brutal. These are modern day slave wages, and it's done as part of this worker program. They're human beings. Look at this. You do want people to be in perpetual incarceration, to be in a cage for the rest of their lives, or do you want there to be pathways so that they can actually have lives after this, so that they can actually demonstrate to the rest of the world that there is a pathway forward? Pod Save America says, if you want to help those impacted by California wildfires, please donate at votesaveamerica.com/relief. And then this account says, using Act Blue for donations for fire victims so they can use their list for future Dem campaigns is diabolical. You can't hate people enough. Shame on everyone involved with this podcast in this episode. Says Brittany. Communications passed for the GOP, Citizens United, and Scott Walker. We'll reposting there. I think a lot of this starts a little bit in the past with this post. California, and especially LA, is controlled by Democrats. They are responsible. No more passing the buck. Our mayor, who is in Ghana as the fire explodes in our city, cut the fire budget by $17 million. Endless amounts of money funneled to bullshit scammer homeless nonprofits. We're the highest tax, yet we have encampments and squalor everywhere. Even worse, we don't have enough firefighters to respond to the absolute disaster we're experiencing right now. Rather than conserve the record rain we got last year, we just drained it into the ocean. We're failing in a city run by sick excuse for local government. You want to radicalize people against the modern Democratic Party? Send them to LA. using the real story, by the way, of how a billionaire couple, exposed by More Perfect Union, as well as countless other articles, and Mother Jones, etc., have been privatizing water in California, and how they were consuming more water for their luxury goods production, pistachios, pomegranate juice, than every house in LA combined. A story that I myself was talking about, but not specifically to be like, and this is the reason why there are so many homeless people. It's because of the homeless, or the nonprofit corruption is to blame. Are there nonprofits that are corrupt, that do not utilize the money that they should be in order to build vast amounts of social housing? Absolutely. Is that the root cause of this? No. That's fucking cartoonishly wrong. I'll get into the numbers in a second, by the way, because we keep hearing this, and it has continued to go down this pathway of saying that this, she's unwilling to speak about, obviously, I'm sure you all know, because we've spoken about it so many times already. Let's see if we got the LA statistics. As the city of LA goes broke, one of the many questions we get is, where are our tax dollars going? The city just started a new fiscal year. If you want to know how the mayor and the majority of the city council increase or decrease the department's operational budget, see below. And so you can see where money was slashed, $17.6 million from the fire department, which we've spoken about. The police got $126 million. I'm pretty sure I understand why, and is not going to talk about this because it's probably something that you wanted, but this is clearly where the money is going, and clearly where you should be pointing your anger at, as in, is this money being well spent? Does the police budget in LA need billions and billions of dollars? Should their money be increasing by $126 million when there are other things you could be spending that money on? Let's first look at hey Anna, any comment on the allegations that the $17 million budget number is completely incorrect? That's not what the fire chief says. The Los Angeles Fire Department is facing unprecedented operational challenges due to the elimination of critical civilian positions and a $7 million reduction in the overtime variable staffing hours, known as V hours. These budgetary reductions have adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations, such as technology and communication infrastructure, payroll processing, training, fire prevention, and community education. In addition to these impacts, the reduction in V hours has severely limited the department's capacity to prepare and train for and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires, earthquakes, hazardous material incidents, large public events, specialized programs and resources such as air operations, tactical EMS units, disaster response, community emergency response teams, which rely heavily on V hours, are now at risk of reducing effectiveness. This report provides an in-depth analysis for these cascading impacts, underscoring the critical need for resources restoration to ensure operational readiness, firefighter safety, and the delivery of high-quality public service. December 17, 2024, approved 12/17/2024. This is talking about critical civilian positions and a reduction of overtime variable staffing hours, specifically the one you posted yourself. She's issued some additional things. Here's more. When we go into it and you look at the articles, a month before the fires, LA Fire Chief warned budget cuts were hampering emergency response. Before the wildfires broke out in LA, the city's fire chief said the budget cuts were hampering the department's ability to respond to emergencies. The department memo shows funding for the city's fire department decreased by $17.6 million, or 2%, between 2024-2025 fiscal year and the 2023-2024 fiscal year, according to the city budget documents. However, and this is where all of a sudden, don't stop reading. The city council in November approved a 4-year, $203 million contract with the firefighters union to help boost wages and health benefits for the staff, drawing from the budget's general fund. This is important. Tell the full story. Don't cut it off at a certain point and just use the lucky 17.6 million and then end there and then be like, we're not going to talk about anything else. The city's council approved a $203 million contract with the firefighters union to help boost wages. The budget cuts drew criticism as firefighters scrambled to contain the ongoing fires. A December 4 memo, LAFD Fire Chief Kristen Crowley wrote to the Board of Fire Commissioners that the budget cuts had adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations. Crowley said the $7 million reduction in overtime hours severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies. I'm not saying that, you know, you should continuously slash budgets from fire time or firefighter overtime hours. I'm not on the side of that. In fact, I am for giving them the overtime hours and the overtime hour pay that they need. I'm for funding firefighters. Please, for the love of God, put as much money into that as possible. But it's really crucial that that second part of the story be told, specifically because it comes down to this now. Despite the budget cuts, the city approved an additional $53 million in pay raises for the firefighters and another $58 million for new fire trucks and other equipment in November, increasing the LAFD's budget by more than 7% over the fiscal year, the LA Times reported. You can just admit that you're wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You can just admit that you either didn't read the full story, you didn't read beyond the however, or you didn't read every detail of it, or you just wanted to ignore this, or you wanted to have this selective, cognitive dissonance when it comes to this. But please scroll past the headlines. Read your sources, look into the topic, because of course, yes, it paints a very easy narrative to be like, well, $17.6 million was slashed. And that's all we're going to talk about. And that's why the fires took over everything. Okay, no. If you are being responsible, the first and foremost thing you should be talking about here is climate change. The 100-mile-per-hour winds, it doesn't matter how advanced the technology is. It doesn't matter if you have the water drones that everyone is now saying, why didn't Elon Musk send in water drones? The drones will not work on 100-mile-per-hour winds, for starters. And another really important point here is the massive drought, which again is caused by the exacerbation of the very climate processes that we have a very, very deep understanding of. These are processes that have been warned to us by the scientists for over 100 years of understanding this topic. They are accelerating this crisis, and that is first and foremost the thing that all of humanity has to deal with. Some nation states have been taking it seriously, others have not. Others have been playing this push and pull of basically, well, we should take this kind of seriously, but you know who we should really be throwing the hammer at? Those kids throwing soup cans. It's the kids throwing soup cans who are saying, why are they doing it? Because of the climate crisis that could doom us all. Make sure that they get really severe punishments. People who are blocking traffic, I want to make sure that they get 20 years in prison for those traffic blockers because they're disrupting the social fabric. They're the ones who we should be looking at. No, we have to talk about the climate crisis. Next, if you want to go to mismanagement, of course there are things that we can point towards that we can all critique that the Democratic mayor and Democratic governor have done, and specifically I would say towards the non-stop increase in policing. But Anna wants that. You want more money to be spent on cops, so that's why you're choosing to avoid that entirely. You're not wanting to talk about that, to go after specifically just them when you can look very clearly where the operational budget is going. And again, there's no argument for any other. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes remotely close here. Pastor Benjamin Dixon says, Anna Kasparian really hates homeless people. She's so bitter, she's blaming the LA fires on the money the city of LA gave to homeless people. And look at the squalor out there. I was going to leave TyT alone, but as long as you have this bird brain traitor to progressives and the unhoused working there, you don't deserve another penny from progressive dollars. Gonna drop a new video on these clowns in the morning. Absolutely disgusting, Anna. Be better. Anna responds with, you're a fucking joke, Ben. Imagine defending the people who stole from both taxpayers and homeless people. You're fucking scum. And great job mocking an ethnic last name like the piece of shit bigot that you are. So I didn't know that asparagus is a ethnic slur towards Armenian people. I would not use it as an ethnic slur. As I've told you before, I feel ethnic slurs towards any group are low-hanging fruit, and I will avoid them. So if we've learned a new one, because this was a new one to me, apparently it is a racist term to use, I think, or I don't know. Again, I would also say that the name the Young Turks, it is referencing the group that committed the Armenian genocide. So something to think about as well. If you look at the comments, and I'm not going to open them up now because a lot of them are also filled with slurs themselves, it was mixed. The right-wing audience that Anna has cultivated on TyT, some of them were like, whoa, you're going woke. Don't do what they do, and stuff like that. Other people were like, destroyed him. Ben has been effectively completely eviscerated online. So Anna goes on to say, Poor Ben got super salty that TyT gave Rashad a show over his boring ass. So much so now that he's defending the misuse of public funds that were specifically allocated for homeless people. Nice job covering up for the thieves who robbed California's homeless population of $24 billion in 5 short years. And somehow, it's totally fine for this bigot to mock an Armenian last name. Is this a known ethnic slur towards Armenians? I googled it. I was trying to find it. I was like, is this a slur, a racial slur towards Armenians, an ethnic slur towards Armenians, asparagus? I couldn't find anything, but I'm willing to learn. All right, I am willing to learn, and if this is something that the Armenian population has for a long time been fighting against, and they'd rather people not refer to them if they have a name that sounds similar to asparagus, that's the thing. But again, I could not find information related to that. I will say this, though. It's profoundly fucked up to try and do this thing where you're trying to pit 2 black creators against each other to form a narrative here where it's like, well, Ben was just jealous of some other black man's success. Another black creator on the platform happened to be quite successful, and he got salty about it, and so that's why he left the network. Yes, because one black content creator was unable or unwilling to tolerate seeing another black content creator do well on our network. What the fuck? Are you serious? That's where you went with this, while at the same time being like, how dare you? How dare you say that? You're using an ethnic slur, a racial slur against Armenians here, live, and it's a lie. Ben corrects the record very clearly here. Actually, I left TyT because you were making money off of me on YouTube and you didn't say anything to me about it while only paying me for Facebook. How many other content creators have you done this to? You and Jank. I'm quite sure Judith Ben Ezra has the details. She was livid when I told her, and I wouldn't let you steal from me. But congrats on shedding the last part of your, quote, ethnic self. You're a full white woman now, trying to pit me against Rashad Ritchie. We down like 4 flat tires. I was one of the first guests on his show. Enjoy being full MAGA. Anna Asparagus, Karen Kasparian. And he brought the receipts. This independent contractor agreement is entered between the Young Turks, a Delaware corporation, and Dixon, a limited liability company formed under the laws of Georgia. Client and contractor shall be referred to as the party, collectively as parties, in consideration for the promise contained therein and intended to be legally bound. Client and contractor represent and acknowledged as follows. Services. The program video accrues the following schedule of 60-second views as defined by Facebook. Instadata with 12 weeks of the full publication of the client's Facebook page. Tier 1 bonus, 250,000. 60-second views equals a $500 bonus. Tier 2, 500,000. 60-second views, $800 total bonus, inclusive of Tier 2, 750,000 views. Now, as someone who doesn't get paid at all via Facebook, I don't know when the metrics kick in. I don't know enough about that. I do get paid by YouTube. So, yeah, I understand why, if you were a content producer working for a company that you would sign a contract with, where you produce videos for them, and you produce videos for them that they upload to Facebook, and you get rewarded for how well your videos do. So there's incentivization for you as an employee of that company to produce a video, make a video, and then you upload it to Facebook and you see them get views, and then you're like, okay, so I got 250,000 views, you made more money, I get to eat as well, right? Like we get to share in this, and they're like, yes, you do. Here it is. Here's the tiers. If you get this many views, we'll give you a bonus. Yeah, we get more money, you get more money. You know, it just seems like kind of a fair deal. And then finding out that you're also uploading the videos that I make for you specifically for Facebook, where you generate income, to a second location that also generates income, YouTube. But I don't see any money from that. I don't get paid for the video for that, and I don't get paid for the bonus for that. And then being like, is that fair? Can we negotiate that? Can I please get money for my YouTube videos as well? You're not just uploading exclusively to Facebook. You're uploading them to other locations. You're generating revenue from that. Can I get money from that? And clearly that was the reason why he decided to leave, because he was only getting paid for one of the 2 locations that he was uploading to. Not, incredibly difficult to find. Apparently that does not change the fact that they wanted to paint a narrative, or at least Anna wants to paint a narrative right now, that he left because of jealousy of another black content creator. If she has any receipts towards that, which that would be something rather than just saying it out loud, which if it's just made up, is racist as fuck. I'm sorry. You can't on one end feign that you are outraged that someone called you asparagus and saying that is a slur towards an ethnic name, and how dare you bigot, Pastor Ben. By the way, the real reason that Benjamin Dixon lost, jealous of another black guy. Just saying. Another black guy had more success in our network. He got salty about it, decided to leave. All I'm gonna say. Yeah, that's fucked. And here's another part of the story that is not being told.
You guys know what's ironic? This is a map of all the fires in the Los Angeles area right now. This is a map of Los Angeles. Out of all the fires raging in LA, the only fire that's actually in the city limits is the Palisades fire. This is Kristen Cowley, the LA City Fire Chief. Only one of the 5 fires in the LA area is actually in her jurisdiction. Chief Dustin Garner is in charge of Ventura County Fire Department. He's in charge of the Kenneth Fire. Chad Augustin is the fire chief of Pasadena, California, where the Eden Fire is raging. This is Joe Tyler, the chief of our statewide fire department, CAL FIRE. And this is Fire Chief Anthony C. Marone, the fire chief of Los Angeles County Fire Department, who are responsible for the responses all across the county. However, it seems only the gay female fire chief has drawn the ire of conservatives. I wonder why that may be. Anyway, I'm gonna go hit that mountain.
I don't know if this is a person's actual account, but anyways, that's from TikTok. Image flip, IMFLP33Z. I guess for 1 week more. Octavia E. Butler, the late pioneering black science fiction novelist who wrote about a wildfire from climate change in her novel Parable of the Sower, is buried in Altadena Cemetery. The cemetery caught fire, the LA Times reported. Very fucked up. I also want to say, by the way, another angle that a lot of right-wingers were using was going after indigenous people. I saw that Jesse Waters, for example, was targeting the Native American community. Meanwhile, there have been numerous Native American content creators who have been pointing out that the solution to a lot of this, including, managing the resources of the earth so we don't all die under climate change, is land back. There's a very, very demonstrable, look at not the left-wing communist publication, but look at the article in National Geographic about how indigenous people make up 5% of the world's population, yet are responsible for over 80% of ecological preservation and sustainability globally. That includes indigenous people in Brazil who have been fighting and dying against mass deforestation. That includes indigenous people in Canada who have been trying to defend land defenders who have been trying to defend and protect old growth forests from, again, ecological disaster and deforestation. They have been leading a lot of ecological movements globally. It is perverse to target indigenous folk and to go after them specifically when it comes to all of this, saying that, like, oh, well, this is because of native land and because of native land rights and apparently the red tape created by that and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just racism. It's ignorance and racism and completely ignoring the reality on the ground. A historic black community that grew out of the civil rights movement in the 1960s is amongst the communities wiped away by devastating wildfires charring through the LA County. The Eden Fires has flattened the many black-owned homes and businesses in the unincorporated area of Altadena, California, and the San Gabriel Valley. The community of 42,000 residents, of which 18% are black, have been amongst the hardest hit by the wildfires so far, and they've claimed 24 and burnt over 12,000 structures across the county. The Eden Fire alone charred more than 1,000 structures and killed at least 5 people in Altadena, per the LA Times. Octavia E. Butler, the late pioneering black science fiction novelist who wrote about a wildfire from climate change starting on February 1st, 2025 in a novel, Parable of the Sower, is buried in Altadena Cemetery. The cemetery caught fire. And then zoom out of the images of the fires themselves. So, yeah, I mean, please keep pushing back against the misinformation and the bullshit and the fucking nonsense and the racism, because it's all just ridiculous at this point to try. Like, honestly, I've learned in the last little while that there's not a single, I'd say, like, at this point, Tim Pool's completely Alex Jones. He's Alex Jones tier. He can have someone like Piers Morgan stare him in the face and just tell him, like, factual information. Here is the list of things that Tommy Robinson has been charged with, the times that he's been in contempt of court, the times when he nearly, like, ruined an entire trial where people who were trying to be tried for grooming and child predation, he almost ruined it by being loud and disruptive in the courtroom. Like, the guy is not a good man. He is in numerous times, he's assaulted a police officer, all this kind of shit. He can be told it to his face and he'll be like, we don't believe you. You're lying. They don't care. You can have the statistics come out about how many children in America actually are receiving gender-affirming care, have it be very, very small. So small that it's in like the hundreds, not the tens of thousands like, Matt Walsh talks about, yet it's the vast majority of their coverage. It's the vast majority of what they talk about, and we're talking about it affecting such a small percentage of the U.S. population. So small, in fact, that, again, in certain states, he would be hard-pressed to name, 20 children. Even though that's the fact, even though this is reality, they don't live in reality. They don't want to. They want to live in the own version of the world that they have crafted for themselves in their heads and spread that to everyone else. It's so dangerous. People used to do that in like high school, and I never thought one day that they would control media empires, but that's the world we live in. Thanks to the blessings of social media and the unrestricted growth of some of these channels and networks, and the fact that they are not called out from their own, the fact that they are not checked by their own, because all they want is just liberal tears, all they want is wins, well then, yeah, you cannot take any of them in good faith anymore. You cannot sit there and be like, oh, you're lying, here's the facts, I got all the information, I'm gonna read it out to you. By that point, they moved on to the next story. It can go from, we give Canada $200 billion worth of welfare every year, apparently, or something, I don't know. We basically subsidize them. That's what I heard. It's like, that's not true. Google the word trade deficit. Look at what that is. You're not subsidizing mayonnaise when you buy a jar of it in the store. That's not subsidizing. Too late. They moved on to the next thing. They're apparently on the shores of Greenland now. They said that they're going to liberate the country, and their sons and daughters need to die for the liberty and glory of the American empire. Get out there, grab your muskets, and go charge. And it's like, okay, well, we don't have enough time to be able to keep fact-checking the post-truth age, right? It's all nonsense. So for the absolute and complete fascists like Tim Pool, mock the fuck out of them, make fun of them, laugh at their asses. Again, it's the only real course of action, because anything else will require people to have to sit down and be like, but I'm bored now. Oh, whoa, Trump's doing something. He's being loud again. Mark Zuckerberg is saying that he's getting rid of all the tampons in the men's machines, and that men need to be masculine again. All right, I care about this now. New shiny thing. What's this all about? In the background, Trump can be completely gutting and destroying Medicaid. And that's something that Politico just leaked papers that shows that that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and do that, and they'll get away with it if everyone is distracted by the shining keys the whole time. If everyone is consistently distracted by that. That's why you got to promote and honestly speak about the courage of anyone who's using their platform in the way that Caroline Kwan did. Using it and using the thousands of live viewers she has to go speak to junior prison inmates fighting the fires. This is a reality. These are who these people are. Humanizing them is so important because it cuts through all of this bullshit politics. You can talk about trans people bad all day, Bud Light makes you gay all day, and then all of a sudden, if you are looking face to face with someone who happens to be 19 years old, has his whole life ahead of him, and he's sitting there not being like, oh, I want to kill the white man, but instead being like, I want to help people. I want to fight fires, and I want to work, and I hope when I get out, I have a shot at having a good job, a decent paying job, and a place to live, and one day I can have a family, and that's all I want in life. You're like, oh, whoa, shit. I've been lied to. I've dehumanized every single one of these people to the point where I just see them as scary, violent criminals all day, and now I'm looking at that, and I'm like, whoa, that's not true. You've been lied to. You're force-fed so much fucking propaganda 24/7 that when you see the humanity in the eyes of these people, suddenly it's like, oh wow, okay, well that maybe we don't need to spend all of the city budget increase on police, every fucking $126 million on this shit, and then lose our minds over woke programs. Well, apparently the city was spending money on woke programs. Did you hear about the woke programs? Yeah, $400,000 was spent on things like gender diversity, spent on things like $400,000. What is that, a cough? Like, and it's gone compared to this? Compared to the weaponization, the militarization of a police force? What are the police going to do when society is burning down? Are they going to shoot the fires? Are they going to arrest them? I hope they comply. I hope they've learned. I hope they learn how to do that shit.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This independent series is made entirely possible thanks to our patrons. It was produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bohem, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, and Words Greenwood. Not to mention all the other patrons you now see on screen. We couldn't have done this show without you. If you can help support the show, please check out patreon.com/the Serfs to unlock bonus secret episodes as well as get the content before anyone else.